guys, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda, and today I'm going to be starting some onion seeds. So I have approximately 10 weeks before my estimated first frost on October 17th. Today is August 9th, so it's about 10 weeks, give or take. Of course, with an estimated frost, it could come early, it could come later. It really is up in the air. But I'll at least get at least 5 good weeks of getting these seeds started inside. I have 2 varieties of onions that I'm going to be starting. So these are the 2 varieties I'm going to be planting. I'm going to go ahead and get my soil mixture started. So both of these I'm going to go ahead and plant in these 2 old mushroom. They're mushroom containers that I kept thinking that I would use them again for gardening, and here I am using them. So they're getting a second life. So I'm gonna get my soil in there, make sure the soil is nice and moist, and then I'm gonna pop some seeds in the soil. So I am using just a Jiffy seed starter mix. This is just what I have, and I wanna use it and not let it go to waste. But from here on out, I plan on using an actual potting soil, just because it's going to give the seeds a longer time of nutrients given to them. This doesn't really have much in it as nutrients go, so I'm just going to be using this for this project, and then for future projects I'm going to be switching over to potting soil, just because that will give me the best plants that will have the most amount of nutrients given to them. What are you doing? So I'm just going to go ahead and put soil in both of these. Break up the clumps. I'm actually really grateful because another YouTuber, Becky from the Acre Homestead, was talking about being so happy that her onions were getting so big, and it totally just reminded me that I needed to get my seeds started so that I could do an overwintered onion. I did onion sets this summer. I planted them in the spring and I harvested them a few weeks ago, and it wasn't as glorious as I was hoping that they would be. I do have a bunch of onions in my basement that are curing. They're just not as big as I was hoping. So I'm gonna go ahead and try this way for next season and hope for the best. But you never know. Being in different climates, you just really have to kind of experiment and just see what works the best. This was only my first year growing onions, so I'm happy that I got to harvest it all, but I'm really hoping to improve on last year's or this year's harvest and do one better next. I will probably end up adding like a liquid fertilizer to this halfway through, just to give the soil a little more something. I don't want my seeds to get puny before I can even transplant them out. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add water to these guys so that the soil is nice and moistened. Alright, so I have my soil hydrated. I'm going to go ahead and create some tags for these guys real fast, just so that I know which is which and just make it easier for me in the future. So we got the Alyssa Craig. And I'm gonna put on the back short shelf life. And then also today's date of August 9th. Yes. I'm just gonna keep green with green. And then our second one is the Utah Spanish. Utah, it's a weird mix, Utah and Spanish. And again, this one is my long shelf life. And August 9. Okay. So really all I'm gonna do is just sprinkle my seeds in. Try to keep them pretty even, but it doesn't really matter too much just because onions have really like strong roots. So if it's packed in there pretty well, you actually can gently tease them apart once it is time to go ahead and plant them. It's much like tomatoes. Tomatoes, you can actually plant them pretty densely and then tease the roots apart, and they'll still kick. So we got the Utah Yellow done. Now we're gonna do the Alyssa Craig. And again, I'm just gonna sprinkle these guys in here pretty evenly and then kind of mix them in. I'm gonna need more onions. And then for these guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and set them out on my balcony out back where it gets the most sun, just so I don't have to harden them off once it comes time to transplanting them. And in about 6 weeks, 5 weeks, I'm gonna go ahead and tease these apart and then plant them in my garden. So this is where my onions will call home for the next few weeks until they are ready to be planted out in the garden. So down here in my basement I have my onions and garlic. This was the onions and garlic that I harvested this year. There are some bulbs that are a fair bit of a size, but they're really like pretty puny, and honestly a lot of them have already started to rot. I don't know if this is just because of the variety that I got from Home Depot. These yellow ones, which I think are the Walla Walla onions, they're doing pretty okay. These ones are storing pretty well so far, but again, they're pretty puny for what they are. I honestly have just been taking even the ones that have some of the damage to them and just peeling off layers until I get an onion that has no damage. I used 3 of them about this size in a homemade chili that I make every year. I know it's not quite chili season, but the chili is so good. Couldn't resist myself. And then over here is my garlic. And again, they're pretty puny. Some of them are really puny. But it's my first year growing garlic, and I'm just happy I got anything at all. And they are drying pretty nicely. I don't see any mold on a lot of these, although they did start to split off, which is not good. But next season will be better. So I actually have already purchased garlic for this fall. I put in a large order for about, I don't even know how many it was, but I ordered a hard neck, soft neck, and elephant garlic from Keen Garlic Company. Just some website that I found. I put in a larger order because I'm going to be sharing with my sister. But I'm going to be planting that in about, I think, September or October for an early spring harvest, or early summer harvest. And I'm really excited that next year I will get glorious bulbs of garlic, just because me and my boyfriend go through so much garlic, so many onions. So I'm going to keep trying until I get it right, and I will get it right. So just come along with me and we'll see how it works out.